Hello, welcome to the third video on the skeleton code for AQA AS Summer 2026 examination. The skeleton code being elimination. So I've done two previous videos, one taking you through the code, and I've done another video which did some very simple fixes. I'm going to show you now another problem with the code, and we're going to fix that. Okay. So I have the option to set the board size. Now I can specify anything for that width, okay? I can specify 100 or 0 or even -1. So I'm going to set it to 0. I'm going to set the height to -1. I can't imagine anybody doing that really, but nevertheless, you can do it. Okay, so if I now try and start the game, okay, so you can see here, this board has been set up as a global string, and we set the dimensions of this string here in this reset board. This has failed, of course, because we can't have values of 0 and -1 in there. So that's the first bug. Okay, I'm going to set the board size again. I can enter accidentally some letters in there. That will also crash the program because we're trying to convert a string into an integer without checking it, putting it into this global variable width here, which is again set up at the beginning of the program as a global variable. It's not passed about as parameters. So we've got another error there. So I'm going to suggest that we, instead of allowing any value in there, that board size, we don't want to enter things like 1,000 and board height of 1,000. Okay. If I start the game now, we don't want any of that. So I'm going to Control and C that. I'm going to suggest that we put a range in there of say 4 to 12, and we also want to check before doing this conversion. So I'm going to pause the video, and so that you're not having to watch my clumsy typing as I put in the code to fix this, and then we'll talk through it. Okay, so here we are. Just to talk you through what I've done. I've set up a Boolean value here for correct input. And I've set that to being false. So whilst that is false, it converts it to true because I've got this not before it here. And this while loop will continue to run until that is changed to true, which it is at the very bottom here. I've also got another while loop here. Okay, so we'll come to that in a second. So I've asked for a board width between 4 and 12. I've inputted this into a string now, the input. So you can see that input is defined as a string. And then I've used this TryParse command instead of just the parse. This will try to convert the input string to the output integer width here as an integer. If it fails, I want to convert that to be true so that I can then, this if statement then will output a message to the user to say, please input an integer. So if it does this, it won't do that else, and it won't do any of these other elses. It will just simply drop out and go round that while loop to the beginning there. Okay. If a successful integer has been put in, it will put it into the width, of course, and it will then check to see if the width is between 4 and 12. Okay, those two bars, of course, meaning or. So if it's less than 4 or it's greater than 12, we want to tell the user, please enter an integer between 4 and 12. If that if statement has been successful, it will do this else statement here, and it's not really indented like it should, so apologies for that, but it will go onto that else statement. It will go into this second while loop here for entering the height. So this code here is pretty much, if not exactly the same as this code here, but this time we're going to output the result into height, and then we're going to check to see if the height is in range, and then if all that is correct, we're going to set correct input equal to true, which means it drops out of that while loop, and it then also drops out of that while loop and finishes the set board size. So let's give that a go. Set board size. I'm going to put in a letter. No, it wants an integer. I'm going to get one that's out of range. 2. No, it wants a one that's in range. I'm going to go for 5. Okay, now it's asked for the height. Let's try that again. No, wants a height. Let's do 17 this time. No, it wants a number between 4 and 12. So I'm going to put in 5. And we've successfully set the board size to 5 times 5. So if we start the game, there it is. Okay, so I'll just leave that on the screen for the last shot of the video, and that concludes this video. Have a go at doing that yourself. Okay, until the next video, bye for now.